Don't feck with medics, written by Coyote Havoc. My task is to provide, to the utmost limits of my capability, the best possible care to those in need of my aid and assistance. To this end, I will aid all who are needful, paying no heed to my own desires and wants, treating friend, foe, and stranger alike, placing their needs above my own. This is the creed of the human combat medic, or simply doc to the humans that depend on them. Previously, I discussed the chaplain, how to identify them and why they should not be targeted. Make no mistake, the same rules apply to combat medics. Thankfully, medics are easily identified by a large red cross, crescent, or other symbol on a white background that is similar to the chaplain insignia. Yes, it is a tempting target, but let me make this crystal clear. If a medic goes down, not even your gods can save you. Human combat medics are very similar to chaplains in that they will save anyone without a second thought. Ally, enemy, it does not matter. Unlike the chaplain, however, the medic is armed. The weapons that they carry are employed only to protect their patients and are not employed to instigate a firefight. But understand that they can and will use them to great effect to protect the wounded that they are treating. Unlike the chaplain, I do have personal experience with human combat medics, so why would I bother to try and educate you from a dry and wordy book, probably written by some chair polisher who has never left their office, when I can share first-hand experience? My battalion had encountered a human-controlled forward operations and observation post on a ridgeline near the Gormato Valley. Yes, I was there. Due to humans' elevated position on the ridge, our command decided to employ artillery and cruise-served weapons instead of small arms. It had seemed like the logical choice at the time, and a small skirmish did ensue into the night. Sometime after the night had fallen, the humans started making direct contact with our unit over an open channel. Curious, command entertained the communication. For all any of us knew, the base might be requesting a surrender. However, the humans informed us that they wanted to retrieve their wounded instead. Believing that this was merely a ruse to bring in reinforcements, command decided to cease fire and wait for augmentary forces, then open fire on the shuttles before they could land. It was already demoralizing to be pinned down and surrounded. How much more humiliating to watch your additional forces as they were swatted out of the sky. When the transports arrived, we were delighted to see the bright red and white targets painted boldly on their transports. It would be like shooting paper targets on a training range back home, and we unloaded with every weapon at our disposal at those red and white targets. One after another, their transports went down in flaming heaps of tortured metal. But I saw something in the fight I had not expected. It was a single transport that had managed to survive the gauntlet and was hovering over the outpost. Such a tempting target. As I was lining up my shot, the side doors opened and the humans began to use ropes to enter the position. Fascinated and rather cocky, I considered shooting the ropes until I observed a human lowering a stretcher. The humans hadn't lied. They were attempting to evacuate the wounded. I still don't know why I hadn't taken the shot. Stunned, I guess. Curious, maybe. But that simple act of holding fire would impact my life in a way I would never have expected. There is a human phrase, mad dogs and Englishmen, which is quite appropriate when I think back to that night. Seeing their dogs being shot out of the sky didn't instill a sense of foreboding like it would in most other species. Instead, it inspired a grim determination and blind rage that other species have come to acknowledge in humans. See, when the chips are down, humans don't give up. They go all in. A call had managed to reach Human Command to inform them that their medics were under attack. Only 2 words, broadcast on all channels. Those 2 words carried with them a demand for retribution. Broken arrow. In response, every goddamn human who could respond turned their attention on us. Atmospheric fighters and assault aircraft, suborbital gunships, even their warships in rear atmospheric orbit lined up and rained hell on our position. Nothing from myth and legend could compare to the absolute havoc we had invoked upon ourselves, and in that righteous fury, they unleashed the most unholy of hells upon us. It was after the smoke and dust began to settle looking around at the moonscape that had once been populated with damn near 1,000 soldiers. I found myself alone, the sole survivor of what became known as Hell's Half Acre. I was captured for a short time and rotated into a prisoner exchange that was already being conducted. In that short time, I was allowed to ask 2 questions of my human captors. The first question was why I had been placed in the prisoner exchange. Your command requested you for debrief on Hell's Half Acre. The second question, why me? You didn't feck with the medics. End of story. Story number 2. The Humans Only Need One. Written by Marja Pahit. Arquebus. What do you mean they failed? Shouted Director Saji. The pupil slit in his eyes widened. His tail wildly flailed, rubbing a chair in the process. He seemed a bit upset with the circumstances. The agent in front of him could only gaze upon the floor nervously as he replied, sir, you see... The director stood tall, towering over the cowering subordinate. I see what, agent? Calmly asked Saji, as he violently smacked his table. The agent flinched, then continued, Apparently, the humans shoot their own political leaders so often that the Terrans had developed a personal shield emitter for their politicians, sir. The director smacked his face with his hand. Which is why that shot to the chest was useless. Isn't that so? Yes, sir. You are absolutely correct, sir, answered the agent. Saji sighed. His hand still covered his face. Next time, if you want to shoot President Santos, use a gun with a higher power. But, sir, the fact that we shot him in the first place was a miracle. How are we going to hide a stronger gun against a rigorous Terran safety protocol? Protested the agent. Then don't shoot him, suggested the director. Get out of my office and think of something better. The agent followed the director's directions. He turned around to reach for an exit. His movement was disrupted, however. Unexpectedly, the director snapped, Idiot! He yelled, startling his subordinate. His scales turned fiery red. I'm surrounded by useless fools. Agent, place your hand on your back. What do you feel? There's nothing, sir, replied the agent. His arms moved around his back, trying to reach the mysterious object. Wait. The agent grabbed a piece of paper taped to his back. Read it! We've warned you, obeyed the agent, with a look of befuddlement. He stared at his superior. You are a disgrace. How are we going to assassinate the Federation's president if all of you kept falling for office pranks? Said the director as he went on a tirade. Last time it was Agent Jizna, with this paper taped on her back. The director opened his desk compartment, grabbing an item of interest. He held the piece of paper high, displaying it to his agent. Neat words, written in Ayatman language, were inscribed on it, saying, Stop sending us assassins. We'll send one of ours, and they'll do their job in one try. The director smacked the table with the paper. If I caught any of you pranking or getting pranked like this ever again, you'll be fired. Apologies, sir. This will never happen again. Get out! The director commanded. The day turned to night, as the moons of Ayatama shone its lights to the surface. With their shifts ending, the employees of the royal agency left their workplace, resting for the night, all except for one. The director was as busy as ever as he devised his plans in his dimly lit office. What about poison? Poison beverage is a classic, said Saiji to himself, putting his idea on the drawing board. No, it won't work. The humans have an artificial liver that filters through everything. He crumpled the paper and threw it in the bin. The director was slowly getting more and more irritated. How about defenestration? No, that won't work. Exploding cigar? That's stupid. He wrote down his idea, only for him to have a second thought and throw it away in the bin. He wrote, had a second thought, and then threw it away, over and over again. In this repeating cycle, his frustrations grew. His head felt heavy with stress. Goddamn! Why can't His Most Inbred Majesty just ask me to assassinate the president of a race that is not insane enough to eat their own hell's damned prime minister? That's not how you should talk about your king, Director Saji, commented a voice. Saji flinched, staggered at the sudden reply. He turned his head, realizing the appearance of a mysterious figure. The figure then turned on the lights, revealing her form. It was a human. A human had infiltrated the Royal Agency building. "Is that a human? How in the—" questioned the director, stunned by confusion. The human smirked. "It was surprisingly easy. Let's just say that your security measures are pathetic, even compared to our grocery stores," she answered. "Besides, who do you think taped that message into your agents, Director?" Sa'aji was angered by the audacity of the human. He lunged at her and screamed, "Your mistake is in coming here! Rot in hell, you!" Abruptly, his leap was interrupted. As his body stiffened, he fell face first onto the floor, unable to move. He was trapped. A question popped into the director's mind. "How?" His heart raced and his scales paled. He was filled with dread. Terror. "I injected a paralytic agent into your body a few minutes ago," answered the human. "Don't worry, your body still performs its basic functions." Step by step, the human approached the director slowly. She then crouched to meet the director's eyes. "We warned you. You've sent so many agents to die or be captured by us, just so that you can try and assassinate our leader," said the human with her stunning predatory gaze. "While your incompetence was entertaining, your attempts to destabilize the Terran Federal Republic have not gone unnoticed." She then dragged the director with her. Sa'aji tried to escape, fighting the stiffness of his frozen body. He wanted to scream, but his snout was motionless. It was futile. The director could only do nothing as he was slowly being dragged into his bathroom, to his own toilet. The human plugged the toilet and filled it with water, and just before she pushed the director's head into the pool of water, she said, "We warned you that the day of reckoning will come, and we only need to send one." End of story. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.